beard and everything. Oh, yes, she did. Must be the same guy you're on. Maybe he trimmed his mustache. First time I've seen your lips in like ever.
He's really weird. Yeah, turn your mic off if you're going to see that kind of
Sorry.
stuff.
You're on
First
video
time I've
too,
seen your
Al.
lips.
All right, well, it's actually 6, so let's go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome everybody here to our City Council meeting, Tuesday, August 6th. Let the record show that all the City Council members are present. We'd like to excuse Mayor Searle tonight. We also have members of the city staff with us as well as members of the public. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked our city attorney, Steve Brooks, to lead us in that.
You all rise?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We usually take a moment of silence, and as we do that, we'd ask that you remember those that serve in our military as well as our police and fire department here that protect us and protect our way of life. And so we'll go ahead and take that now. Thank you. Next, we'll have a public comment session where people can approach the microphone and state your name and address and make comments or share ideas that you have. Please try to limit any comments that you have to 3 minutes if possible. Seeing none, we will move on to presentations and reports. We will not be having a mayor's report tonight because he's not here. And so we'll move on to council reports. Does anyone on the council want to report on any of their responsibilities? Mr. Ellis?
Yes, they've discovered 4 pools in Weber County that have West Nile virus in it. They've treated those areas, but there is a possibility of mosquitoes having West Nile now that's moved up from the south. So 4 pools in the area. They're mainly along the road at the lake, West Warren area, West Weber. So there is nothing in Riverdale, but they have found mosquitoes with West Nile.
Okay. Anybody else want to report on any of their assignments? Okay, we'll move on to consent items. We will start with consent item number 1, consideration to approve meeting minutes from our July 16th work session, regular session. Is there any corrections or changes to those minutes? If not, we need a motion. Mr. Ellis?
Move to approve consent item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Did you get that, Shaylee? Okay. Our second consent item is to appoint Shaylee Evans as our city recorder. I guess we need to do that by motion as well. We have a Mr. Arnold. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Looks like you're appointed. So
We were going to make that more interesting for you or her mother. Yeah, we were going to like dice it up.
have like a split vote or something, but well, that's good. It looks like you have the support of the council unanimously. So,
Not that I know what they're going to do, but I'll comment on that.
oh, okay, Mr. Worthen.
I would just like to tell the council when we interviewed for this particular position that we've hired Shaylee for, we had approaching 30 applicants for that position. We narrowed it down to 3 and then down to 2, and we selected Shaylee. She comes from Weber County, worked in Weber County for 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah.
Worked in the prosecuting attorney's office over there, so she has background in local government, and we just appreciate having her here. She's a great fit for our staff, so we wish her all the success in all that she does. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a discussion item. We're going to discuss a possible change to Title 10, Chapter 14, Section 11, Item A, regarding a request to adjust the setback location for a swimming pool from 7 feet to 5 feet. This is simply a discussion of whether this item should be sent to the Planning Commission for their evaluation. Does anybody?
I think it should be.
Okay, he thinks it should be. Does anybody have any comments on this? Or we can move to a consensus if nobody has.
Yes. I'm not sure that it was really necessary for the council to determine whether or not to send it. I don't think it is necessary. I think that a resident can approach the staff and move forward, you know, especially if something is time sensitive. It doesn't need to come this venue first. It can come through the staff to the Planning Commission. And so this is, it's counterintuitive for us to be involved to recommend it. I mean, because it can be done without us.
The discussion's about the Title 10 change, not procedural,
Okay,
right?
do we have a consensus to send it to the Planning Commission? Looks like we've got 4 in favor. All right, Councilor Stevens is opposed to that.
Only
but,
because it doesn't matter.
Okay, because it's, all right, so it looks like that's going to get sent to the Planning Commission to have them look at that and possibly evaluate it and change it. All right, we'll move on to our action item. Number 1, consideration of a resolution, resolution number 2019-20, a review of a contract with Weber Basin Water for water treatment. Mr. Worthen.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just read real quick the opening paragraph in the summary. It just pretty much gives a good synopsis of what we're requesting the council look at tonight, which would be a review and approval of a contract agreement for the exchange and treatment of water, surface water particularly, with Weber Basin Water Conservancy District. If I may, I'll just read this. City staff has been working with officials from Weber Basin Water Conservancy District for the last 2 years, exploring ways to increase city water capacity and treatment options. Initially, the drilling of a new water well was thought to be the best answer for ongoing needs. However, alternative ideas to treat existing city water and actively acquire surface water rights was agreed to be less costly and more efficient option. To this end, city staff and council have made recent changes to the city code, meaning the water code, requiring conveyance of surface water rights connected with development of land. Secondly, the city has instituted changes to the water utility ordinance for acquisition of water rights and improvements to capacity, allowing city staff to seek out and acquire water shares usable to the city. So one of the final pieces of this would be in this agreement that would treat surface water rights that the city has acquired over years and years of time, and the fact that the Weber Basin Water Conservancy District could treat that water, basically divert it upstream in the Weber River, treat it for culinary water, and convey it to Riverdale City and our residents. It's approximately 826 acre feet. We've since added to that number as well, in lieu of obviously drilling a water well. We believe that water wells are maintenance intensive. Darren, who's with us tonight from Weber Basin Water, he may speak on this agreement earlier. He knows quite well how much a water well can be a drain on FTE and maintenance and costs and things like that. That being said, rather than purchase block water from Weber Basin Water, we are proposing that we take this surface water that we have not used historically here in Riverdale and convey it to them through this agreement, whereas they can treat it for culinary usage and deliver it to us at a lot less cost. That being said, the agreement is here before you this night for council review. City staff does recommend approval. You have a comment there from our city attorney. Steve was obviously doing his legal counsel with the city council in regards to that it does seem extreme to enter into this agreement, and I say extreme in the sense that it has great benefit to Riverdale City. But what other option is there to use this water? If we don't use it, it's used by somebody else, or it simply goes down the Weber River. But that being said, the staff is here to answer any questions. Darren is here as well. Like I said in your work session, this agreement is one that they've used numerous times with other communities, and Darren can address any other questions that you may have to the term as well. If the term seems, it does seem excessive. 50-year term that Steve mentioned, I don't think that's excessive. It's water. If we use the water, great. If we don't use the water, who's going to use it? We're about making life better for our community. And so if we can use this water in a way that makes life better for our residents and is less costly and more efficient, then why wouldn't we? Whether it's 2 years or 20 years or 50 years. Anyway, I'll leave the time to Darren if he has any input as well.
Darren, you want to come up to the microphone just in case any of these gentlemen have questions for you?
Sure, yeah. So Darren Hess with Weber Basin Water. I'm Assistant General Manager with Weber Basin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for them as well. So, yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to work with Riverdale City on this contract. We've done, similar agreements with other cities, South Ogden City, Layton City, and, have treated their surface water and then delivered that back to them, as a municipal supply for their residents. And so we patterned the agreement just similarly like we've done these other agreements with these other cities. And they felt like it was, a positive step for them as well. I mean, we're sole supply for Kaysville City. Kaysville City decided years ago that they did not want to, maintain and operate their own wells and to deal with the issues that come with wells. And Weber Basin we're well aware of those issues. We have 23 deep water wells that we own and operate. Wow. And just so you know, Weber Basin Water is the large water purveyor in northern Utah. We serve 5 counties with both culinary water and secondary water, and then we wholesale ag and secondary water throughout the 5-county region as well. So we deliver water to about 50, 55 cities, in the 5-county area that we deliver water to. So water's our business. That's what we do. We have most of the treatment plants in northern Utah are ours. The only one being Ogden City has the treatment plant, and in the canyon that they own and operate. But we have 3 treatment plants here in Weber and Davis counties, and then we have a treatment plant up in Summit County as well. So, yeah, with that, I'm happy to take any questions you might have about the agreement. Yeah.
I think one of the concerns we had is the 50 years. Sean said that you guys would be okay if we change that to 25 with the option of doing the other, 25 later on.
Yeah. Sean talked to me about that and said, hey, we'd really like to maybe do something a little lesser, a 25-year agreement. And we're definitely open to that. If that's what the city would like to do, we're definitely open to a 25-year. And then let's see if we want to renew that for a second 25. I think that'd be fine with us.
Councilor Hanson.
I've never been a fan of the second well. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I think this is a unique way to take advantage of those shares and save the public work guys some time that they could spend elsewhere beautifying some roundabouts and stuff. So I'm all for it, and I support the 25 years as well.
Councilor Arnold.
Does the cost structure of this, is it modified year after year? Because looking through the contract, it just basically says that we got $135 versus the block, 572. So, are we locking this thing in for 25 to 50 years at $135?
There's small O&M increases to that number, but they're minimal. You're basically, just like you've done with the other blocks of water that the city has purchased, you lock that in for that time period, other than a small O&M increase, that we might have, say, 2% in a year, something like that, just to cover, inflationary type. But yes, you basically are locking that number in, for other than, other inflationary type costs. But once we contract with an individual, a city like yourselves, we lock that in. We're much different than Salt Lake County and how they do business down there, where they have one rate, for all of their cities. Once you kind of lock that in with Weber Basin, we keep it at that rate. So your project water you've purchased is much cheaper than, say, your District 1 or District 2 water that you've purchased. And Riverdale City has all three types of water. With the district, you don't have any of the newer water, District 3, but you're entering into this agreement, so you do not have to pay for District 3 water, which is currently going for $640 an acre foot. So in an effort to not purchase that type of water and to not maintain, your wells into the future, treating the surface water I think is a smart way to go.
Yeah, Councilor Stevens.
Thank you. It's different when you're in that position because we're on a first name in other places. But,
Yeah.
all right. When you are, okay, does the contract allow for the amount of okay, we own a certain number of shares. Hypothetically, if those gain or those shares increase or decrease, this automatically adjusts it. It prorates it. We don't need new contracts. We don't need amendments. We don't need any of that. Correct? Is that how I understood it?
If the city wants to add, those new shares that you acquire, if you want to add that to this contract, we don't have to execute a new contract. We can just add to, but that is at the city's option.
Right.
If you want to keep those shares, and use those elsewhere in your system and not want to add them to this contract, you're totally able to
But we
do
have
that.
a minimum contract. The 25 years is for a minimum number of shares to be of surface
Correct.
water to be.
Yep. Those minimum number of shares that are already in the contract. Yes, those will always be applied as part of that exchange water, and that'll just be held for Riverdale City. As your population increases, that'll be just kind of held in a kitty. And if you need more water, we just continue to treat more of that surface water as needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Council, we have in the agreement in section 2 there, just to answer your question, Bart, it says that such additional shares will be identified by the city every January 1st. And at that same time, the city will have 30 days to direct in writing to the district whether those newly acquired shares will be added to the previous number conveyed. So yeah, we have.
We have latitudes.
Councilor Arnold.
I just want to say that I'm in favor of the 50-year agreement just because of the way things go, inflation. I think locking in a commodity like this for 50 years is a great partnership. So I might be in the minority on that one, but I think locking in something like this important, this kind of pricing with the way the commodities go and the way that the population's growing along the Wasatch Front in Utah, I think it's a good thing to lock it in for 50 years.
I had a question. So could the pricing change in 25 years? I mean, is it a renewal of this current contract or is it an all new contract?
Well, I think it's a renewal of the current contract, but I think at that time we would be able to look at pricing at that time and adjust accordingly, because the contract would end after 25 years, right, on an option to renew. But I think at that time we all can look at our own constituents and pricing and just make sure that everything's, up to speed. So, yeah, 25 years is a long time, though.
Well, it is a long time, but
Yeah.
you're also the provider. We're the user. It's not a partnership.
Right.
Right. They're the sole source of what they do, and unless we have the ability to, to jump in and create a, water treatment plant or something, which Riverdale is never going to be able to do. And I think partnering with the provider, being a user is a good idea.
Yeah, typically once cities have gone this direction, they never go the other direction. To have enough full-time employees and to start doing your own stuff again, it's pretty tough when you don't have that expertise for a period of time. It's tough
Well,
to
and if
get
you're
up to
talking
speed.
about the Category 3 water, what would you call that?
Yeah, that District 3 water.
District 3 water,
Yeah.
that's $500 an acre foot savings, today.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so, when you're talking X number of years, whether it's, 10, 20, 30 years, it's, to lock it in and at least call you names if you raise the price too much.
Well, and we will have District 4, that we'll probably sell out of District 3, which is that $643 water, probably in 3 to 4 years, the way things are currently going. And then we'll have a District 4 water, and it'll go up substantially from $643. It'll probably be 1,000 easy, I would say. It's just getting more and more difficult, to develop water sources in this day and age.
Is there a possibility of selling our water? So as you guys as the need creates along the Wasatch Front or something like that in the 5 counties you're talking about, and we're not using, our acre footage, whether it be, April or October or whatever, can we sell our water to you, have you treat it and sell it to a customer?
Yeah, that provision is not, is not in the contract. If you gain excess shares, above and beyond what's in this contract, obviously you're free to go ahead and, sell those shares or that water.
To you. I was saying like through you to your customer.
Yeah, no, we really don't have a provision where we allow somebody to, sell water in that situation. We're just reserving the water that's currently in the contract, for Riverdale City up to that threshold. But yeah, in terms of selling that water, yeah, we don't do that.
Counselor Arnold?
I would move to approve Resolution 2019-20. So it's saying review the contract, but to enter into the contract with Weaver Basin Water for water treatment. And I would propose leaving it at the 50 years.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, it appears there's no second on that motion. Did anybody else want to make a motion?
Yeah, I do.
Counselor Hanson.
I would make the same motion as Councilor Arnold, but I would stipulate the years be 25 with a option to renew another 25.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Stevens is the second. Shayla, will you poll the council or any comments?
Comment on the motion. When you're looking at the option of the 25 years, there is no option, right? It's just the contract is for 25 years, and then if we want to negotiate and go into another 25 years, we would negotiate and go into another 25 years. It's not like we have an option to pick up another 25 years at our option. We're just going into a 25-year contract, right?
I think that's correct.
Worthing?
So we're entering a 25-year contract, and then in 25 years, the council is going to be talking about this with Weaver Basin holding the cards.
It would be that contract at 25 years would either cease with an option to renew. That's how I would view it. And so the verbiage in the agreement that's before you tonight, we just have to alter it to identify that. Is that how you go?
In the next 25 years, we're going to be doing this very same thing.
Yeah.
It's not an option to renew the contract the way it's written.
You could write it so that it could renew automatically at 25 years unless either party brings it forward. You could write it that way too.
If you'd be willing to do that, I could go this way, that if it's reviewed in 25 years with an automatic option, unless somebody ceases it,
Yeah.
one way or the other, as opposed to a 25-year contract and then going, we're here in 25 years, and they come back in and say, yeah, our $135 an acre foot is now $490 an acre foot in 25. I don't know what the 20.
Right.
Paying in
Right.
some other currency for all I know. But I just think protecting the city long term is probably the best way we could go. And if we could do an automatic option, I still think that cost-wise, if you guys in 25 years, if the costing is in your favor, that you would opt out of the contract. You're a business, right? So your son or whoever's in your spot now in 25 years would be doing that very thing. And I just think it's a mistake to pass up this kind of an opportunity.
But I think, like Roger said, I think we still have to draft that language, because that's something that's not currently in the contract. So I think we could draft it similar to what Roger suggested, and as long as the parties at hand, Weber Basin, are okay with that. And I don't see why we wouldn't, because we're okay with a 50-year term. So I don't see why we would be, uncomfortable with that option to renew that existing contract.
Just to clarify, the reason why it's beneficial for you and why you initially proposed a 50-year is you have fixed costs and you want to maintain usage of those assets because of the capital investments you've put into them.
Correct.
And so the advantageous nature of a 50-year contract for you is so that you can show, I don't know, your shareholders, I don't know, your overseers, whoever that is.
Our trustees. Yeah.
Trustees, thank you.
Yeah.
That you are good stewards of the capital assets that you've expended for.
Exactly.
And so if you've got the capital assets, whether it's a 50 or 25, knowing you're the only game in town, from our perspective, of course, it's like we want to keep some latitudes that offers us. Now, in a previous life, when I was younger, I worked for a water utility in collections and distributions, mostly distribution. And so I have some experience in the maintenance and the operations and different things. So I understand some of the huge capital outlays that are necessary to maintain those, and then to make sure they're modernized and so on, and as growth comes in. And so I totally get it, but I'm not. There's going to be raises and adjustments, like you said, year to year to year.
Yeah.
That's going to happen and be built in. So whether it's a brand new contract, I don't see it being significantly different. No, granted, am I as good a soothsayer as the global warming crowd who say in 30 years it's going to be X? And I don't see that there's going to be much difference in 25 years that would warrant, that would be detrimental to having two 25-year contracts. Meaning, I don't see the benefit
Yeah.
for a 50-year.
Counselor Hanson?
Can I amend my motion?
If the
Yeah.
second allows you.
Motion's been made and seconded, you'd have to vote.
Can I withdraw my
no.
motion?
You can do it.
He can amend his motion if the second agrees.
Can I withdraw it?
The second agrees with it, you can't amend it that way, but
Well, I think I agree with Counselor Arnold. I think I'd prefer the 50 years. So I would amend that to my motion to go back to the contract as stated in the packet.
And how does the second feel about that?
I do not agree.
Okay.
I stay with.
So we have no motion.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
We have no motion.
Second, Bell.
Motion dies.
Motion dies. So we're just back to
You can second
square
it.
one,
What
which
are
is
you
fine.
talking about?
We're
No, I
okay.
will. Go ahead and make it again.
make a new one now.
Okay.
Make a new motion.
I would like to make that new motion to agree to the contract as stated in the packet.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Is there any more discussion or any discussion on this motion? Shaylee, will you poll the council?
Councilmember Ellis.
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Aye.
Councilmember Arnold.
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson.
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens.
Nay.
See that water?
Okay. Looks like the motion passes with a vote of 4-1. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And can I just say, we really appreciate working with Roger and Sean. They've been great to work with over the last couple of years, and you got great employees and staff,
An
so we
interesting
appreciate that.
council, though, wasn't it?
Hey, you never know, right? Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Mayor, for me.
Okay.
Just real quick, Sean and I have talked a lot about our relationship with Weber Basin Water, and it's really gone way positive here in the last several years. And working with those individuals up there at Weber Basin Water, we really appreciate them, what they do for us, and the big tasks that they have. And I can tell you, water will be king in this state as we continue to add people that move here and the people that we have birthed in our homes, children. They all buy a house, they all have apartments, and what's the one thing in common that they need is water. And I think as we move forward, as the state of Utah continues to grow and develop and more people come here, water is going to be a huge issue. And it will be an issue in every community in the state, whether it be a county, a conservancy district like Weber Basin Water or others throughout the state. For farming, you name it, water will be king in the state, and it's not very far off. So I appreciate Darren and his staff up there and the council this evening for the consideration of a lot of work that we've gone through to get this to you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, we'll move on to discretionary items. Is there any for this meeting?
I
Counselor
just have
Arnold.
one. It's kind of a weird question, but Chief Brinkman, our anti-terrorism officer at work gave us this story spin thing about a white slavery ring in Roy that they've been watching for like a year. Have you heard anything about that at all? Okay, there you go. Hey, my daughter's running around at 2:30 in the morning, so she's not doing that anymore.
Any other items? Counselor Arnold?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Return.
I'm gonna go home and watch it.
He's been waiting the whole meeting to do this.